Assyrian Empire, the unstoppable war machine that ruled through terror, ancient superpower. Welcome to ChronoVault, where we unlock the most compelling stories from humanity's ancient past with scholarly precision and cinematic vision. Today, we explore the rise of history's most terrifying military empire, a civilization that redefined warfare and ruled through calculated brutality. This is Assyrian Empire, the unstoppable war machine that ruled through terror, a journey into the heart of ancient power and conquest. Stay with us until the end, as we reveal how one civilization became the ancient world's most feared superpower and forever changed military history. First, birth of the war machine. In the northern reaches of ancient Mesopotamia, between the Tigris and Zab rivers, a warrior culture begins its transformation into empire. The year is approximately 900 BCE, and the Assyrian heartland awakens to a new era of military ambition and territorial expansion. The city of Ashur rises on limestone cliffs overlooking the Tigris, its temple dedicated to the storm god dominating the skyline. Within the palace complex, military commanders gather before their king, planning campaigns that will reshape the political landscape of the entire Near East. Unlike their Bronze Age predecessors, these Assyrians possess iron weapons that cut through bronze armor like parchment before flame. The secret of iron smelting has transformed their military capability, giving them technological superiority over most neighboring kingdoms and city-states. King Ashurnasirpal II sits upon his throne decorated with ivory inlays depicting lion hunts and military victories from previous campaigns. His beard is meticulously curled in the Assyrian fashion, his robes embroidered with symbols of divine authority and martial prowess. He addresses his generals with cold determination, outlining strategies for conquering the wealthy cities of Syria and extracting tribute from resistant populations. The king's words reveal a sophisticated understanding of military logistics, supply lines, and the psychological impact of overwhelming force and terror. In the palace workshops, craftsmen forge weapons and armor using techniques refined through generations of constant warfare and technological innovation. Iron swords, bronze-tipped arrows, and composite bows emerge from these forges, each piece representing the cutting edge of military technology. The standing army trains in courtyards below the palace, professional soldiers who serve year-round rather than seasonal farmer warriors of earlier eras. They practice formations, siege techniques, and cavalry maneuvers that distinguish them from any military force the ancient world has previously witnessed. Scribes record military rosters and supply inventories on clay tablets, documenting the administrative machinery that sustains this growing war machine. The Assyrian military runs on bureaucratic efficiency as much as martial skill, combining organizational genius with battlefield prowess and ruthless determination. Royal ideology fuses religious duty with imperial expansion, declaring that the god Ashur commands the king to bring order to chaos. This divine mandate justifies every conquest, every act of terror, transforming military aggression into sacred obligation that cannot be questioned or resisted. The seeds of empire are planted in this moment, combining iron technology, professional military organization, administrative sophistication, and religious justification. From these foundations will rise a war machine that terrorizes the ancient world for 3 centuries of unrelenting conquest and expansion. Second, innovations in warfare and conquest. The Assyrian army marches forth from Nineveh, the new capital whose walls stretch for miles around magnificent palaces and temples. 20,000 soldiers move in disciplined columns, their bronze-scale armor glinting in the Mesopotamian sun like a river of burnished metal. At the army's core march the infantry, heavily armored spearmen who form an impenetrable wall of shields and iron-tipped weapons in battle. Behind them, archers with powerful composite bows capable of piercing armor at 200 paces, raining death upon enemy formations. The cavalry represents revolutionary innovation, mounted warriors who can strike swiftly and pursue fleeing enemies with devastating effectiveness and speed. These horsemen transform battlefield tactics, providing mobility that chariots cannot match in rough terrain or rapid pursuit of routed forces. Engineers accompany the army, specialists who construct siege ramps, battering rams, and mobile siege towers that make city walls meaningless obstacles. Their knowledge of mathematics, engineering, and construction turns every fortified city into a solvable problem rather than an impregnable fortress. The army reaches a rebellious city whose ruler refused tribute, thinking stone walls would protect them from Assyrian wrath and retribution. The siege begins with systematic efficiency as engineers survey the walls, identifying weak points while soldiers establish a fortified encampment. Massive battering rams are wheeled forward, protected by wooden and leather shields that deflect arrows and burning oil from desperate defenders. The rams pound rhythmically against gates and walls, their bronze-capped heads specifically designed to shatter mud, brick, and stone fortifications. Archers provide covering fire from mobile towers that match the height of city walls, suppressing defenders and creating safe zones for assault. This combined arms approach represents sophisticated military thinking that coordinates multiple unit types in synchronized operations for maximum battlefield effectiveness. After days of relentless assault, the walls breach and Assyrian soldiers pour through the gap like floodwaters through a broken dam. The city's resistance collapses as disciplined troops overwhelm scattered defenders, their training and superior equipment deciding the battle's outcome within hours. The aftermath demonstrates calculated terror as a weapon of psychological warfare more powerful than any siege engine or military formation. Captured leaders face impalement on stakes outside the ruined city walls, a gruesome warning visible for miles to any who contemplate future resistance. This pattern repeats across the ancient Near East as Assyrian armies conquer city after city, refining techniques and accumulating unstoppable momentum. Each victory feeds the war machine, providing plunder to fund further campaigns and slaves to work the fields of the expanding empire. Third, the psychology of terror. In the royal palace at Nineveh, artisans carve relief sculptures depicting military campaigns with disturbing attention to detail and graphic violence. Stone panels show enemy soldiers being flayed alive, cities burning, populations being forcibly relocated, their suffering rendered in permanent limestone testimony. These are not merely decorative art, but deliberate propaganda designed to communicate the fate awaiting those who resist Assyrian authority and power. Foreign ambassadors visiting the palace walk through halls lined with these images, their imaginations filling with dread about their city's potential fate. King Sennacherib reviews reports from provincial governors describing successful campaigns and the systematic destruction of rebellious territories and populations. His scribes record these accounts in cuneiform, creating official chronicles that celebrate brutality as evidence of divine favor and military superiority. The king dictates an inscription for his palace walls, describing how he captured an enemy city and impaled its defenders on stakes. His words show no remorse or restraint, instead expressing pride in actions designed to terrify surrounding kingdoms into immediate submission. Terror serves strategic purpose in the Assyrian military doctrine, reducing the need for prolonged campaigns and conserving resources for expansion elsewhere. Cities that surrender immediately receive relatively merciful treatment, while those resisting face total destruction, creating powerful incentive for quick capitulation. Forced deportations represent another terror tactic, uprooting entire populations and resettling them hundreds of miles from their ancestral homelands and cultures. This policy breaks local power structures, prevents organized rebellion, and creates confused, disoriented populations easier to control and administer. In conquered territories, Assyrian officials oversee the systematic dismantling of local identity, replacing native customs with imperial administration and cultural uniformity. Local gods are subordinated to Ashur, temples are rebuilt in Assyrian style, and the conquered learn that resistance brings only suffering. Yet this terror is calculated rather than random, following consistent patterns that maximize psychological impact while maintaining administrative efficiency and control. The Assyrians understand that fear, properly cultivated and maintained, governs more effectively than military garrisons stationed throughout vast conquered territories. Provincial administrators send regular reports detailing tribute collection, potential unrest, and the effectiveness of terror tactics in maintaining order and compliance. This feedback loop allows the empire to refine its methods, adjusting levels of brutality to achieve desired submission without completely destroying productive capacity. The terror machine operates with bureaucratic precision, transforming cruelty into administrative policy supported by religious ideology and military might. What appears as senseless violence serves deliberate strategic goals, making the Assyrian Empire perhaps history's first systematic practitioner of psychological warfare operations. Fourth, life in the empire's shadow. Within the walls of Nineveh, life proceeds with surprising normalcy despite the empire's fearsome reputation across the ancient Near East. The city's markets bustle with merchants from a dozen lands, selling textiles, metals, spices, and luxury goods gathered through conquest and tribute. Wealthy Assyrian nobles reside in spacious homes featuring interior courtyards, decorated walls, and sophisticated drainage systems displaying advanced urban planning. These elites wear elaborately fringed robes, their beards groomed in intricate curls, their appearance reflecting both fashion and social status. The royal library contains thousands of clay tablets documenting everything from military campaigns to medical treatments, legal codes to astronomical observations. Scribes work daily preserving knowledge from conquered civilizations, creating one of the ancient world's most comprehensive repositories of learning and culture. In temple complexes, priests conduct elaborate rituals honoring Ashur and the Assyrian pantheon, their ceremonies reinforcing the divine mandate for imperial expansion. The temples receive steady streams of tribute and plunder from military campaigns, making them immensely wealthy institutions within Assyrian society. Craftsmen in specialized workshops produce the intricate ivory carvings, metalwork, and textiles that demonstrate Assyrian artistic achievement beyond military prowess. Their work combines influences from Egypt, Phoenicia, and Babylon with native Assyrian styles, creating distinctive art reflecting the empire's multicultural reach. In the provinces, life proves harsher as conquered peoples labor under Assyrian governors who extract tribute and conscript workers for imperial building projects. Local populations maintain their languages and some customs but live under constant threat of deportation, or worse if rebellion stirs or tribute falters. Agricultural estates throughout the empire produce the grain, livestock, and other resources that feed cities and armies, worked by both free farmers and enslaved populations. The Assyrian economy runs on this agricultural foundation, supplemented by tribute, plunder, and trade networks extending from Egypt to the Iranian plateau. Women in Assyrian society occupy defined roles, managing households, raising children, and sometimes participating in business through male family representatives. Elite women occasionally wield significant influence through royal connections. Assyrian culture remains fundamentally patriarchal in structure and legal framework. The military remains central to Assyrian identity, with boys from elite families trained from youth in martial skills and military strategy. Service in the army offers advancement opportunities, with successful commanders receiving land grants and administrative positions throughout the growing empire. Despite the terror tactics employed abroad, daily life within Assyrian heartland cities reflects sophistication, culture, and relative stability for citizens and elites. This contrast reveals the dual nature of the empire, simultaneously capable of refined civilization and calculated brutality, depending on strategic necessity. Fifth, the inevitable fall. By the late 7th century BC, cracks begin appearing in the seemingly invincible Assyrian war machine after generations of relentless expansion. The empire has grown to vast, stretching from Egypt to the Persian Gulf, requiring constant military campaigns to maintain control over restive provinces. In the palace at Nineveh, King Ashurbanipal presides over an empire at its territorial zenith, yet increasingly strained by administrative and military overextension. His generals report growing difficulties suppressing rebellions that now erupt simultaneously across multiple provinces, stretching military resources dangerously thin. The Babylonians to the south, long subjugated under Assyrian rule, forge alliances with the Medes from the Iranian mountains to the east. These traditional enemies unite against their common oppressor, combining Babylonian wealth and sophistication with Median military strength and numerical superiority. The constant warfare that built the empire now drains it, as decades of continuous campaigns exhaust both military manpower and economic resources. Subject peoples grow increasingly resistant, having learned that coordinated rebellion stands better chance than isolated resistance against the overstretched Assyrian forces. Internal divisions weaken the empire as nobles compete for influence. Provincial governors grow semi-independent, and succession disputes create political instability. The efficient administrative machine that once sustained conquest now suffers from corruption, inefficiency, and the inevitable decay of overextended bureaucratic systems. The final assault comes in 612 BCE, when combined Babylonian and Median armies besieged Nineveh itself, turning Assyrian siege tactics against the empire's heart. The great walls that protected the capital for generations finally breached after months of relentless assault from enemies who learned warfare from Assyrian example. The city burns for days as conquerors exact revenge for centuries of Assyrian terror, destroying palaces and temples with systematic thoroughness. The magnificent relief sculptures documenting Assyrian conquests are buried under rubble, not to be rediscovered for over 2,000 years by archaeologists. Within a decade, the Assyrian Empire completely collapses, its territories divided between Babylonian and Median successors who inherit its administrative structures. The speed of this disintegration shocks the ancient world, proving that even the mightiest empire can fall when overextension meets coordinated resistance. The Assyrian legacy survives in military tactics, administrative techniques, and governmental structures adopted by successor empires, including Persia and eventually Rome. Their innovations in siege, warfare, cavalry use, and provincial administration influenced military thinking and imperial governance for centuries after their political extinction. The ruins of Nineveh lie silent, buried under centuries of wind-blown sand, their stones bearing witness to the rise and fall of ancient history's greatest war machine. The empire that terrorized the ancient world for 3 centuries vanishes almost completely from historical memory, until modern archaeology resurrects their story from buried palaces. The Assyrian Empire stands as a testament to military innovation, administrative genius, and the terrible effectiveness of terror as political strategy. We've witnessed how one civilization transformed warfare, built history's first true military superpower, and ultimately fell victim to its own success and overextension. ChronoVault has guided you through this empire's rise and fall, revealing lessons about power, conquest, and the limits of military dominance. The Assyrians changed warfare forever, introducing innovations and tactics that echo through military history to the present day and modern era. If this journey through ancient military history has fascinated you, please share your thoughts and insights in the comments section below. Support ChronoVault with a like and subscribe to continue exploring the empires, innovations, and individuals that shaped our ancient world. Share this video with fellow history enthusiasts who appreciate detailed, cinematic explorations of humanity's most compelling historical chapters and civilizations. Thank you for joining us in ChronoVault as we continue unlocking the treasures and terrors of our shared human past and forgotten empires.